ياريت لو كان حكومة بتاع جنوب السودان كله بيسمع في كلامنا ده، وياريت يكون كل الرسائل اللي بيقدموا من الراديو ده الجنوبيين بيسمعوا بذات الحكومة. عندنا مشكلة الحكومة بيقول إن كل العاملين في حكومة جنوب السودان خليه يفتح بنك أكاونت في جوبا. إحنا مثلا في القيامات البعيدة من جوبا نقول يكون عامل بيصرف له من هي 20,000 ولا 25,000. هل يغالينه يا أخي زول يصرف 25,000 يفتح بنك أكاونت في جوبا هنا؟ سيئة الجنوبيين ده بيفكروا فكرة سليم ولا ده بس بيطلع لهم من فراغ ساكنين كده عايزين يمشي يفتح بنك أكاونت. ولا ده بيفكروا فكرة صحيح ولا برلمانيين ولا ناس المجلس الوزراء ما بيزول بيعملوا كوركشن في الكلام زي ده. لو ناس ده وفروا بنوك في القيامات ده كله احنا بيقولوا ممكن معلش زول ممكن يفتح بنك أكاونت، لكن زول بيطلع من مسافة بعيد بيركب مواصلات ب 80,000 بس بيصرف 20,000 ولا 25,000. في فكرة سليم في المحل ده.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The South Sudan National Bureau of Standards has ordered the immediate halt of distribution of a batch of Nestle baby formula following a global recall over safety concerns. The National Legislative Assembly has returned the mining bill to the Committees on Mining and on Legislation and Justice for further review after lawmakers described it as shallow and incomplete. And the chairperson of the South Sudanese community in Uganda has called on South Sudanese residents to remain calm, law-abiding and respectful of Uganda's laws as the country prepares for its national election scheduled for 15th January 2026. These are stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. The South Sudan National Bureau of Standards has ordered the immediate halt of distribution of a batch of Nestle baby formula following a global recall over safety concerns. In a public notice issued this morning, the Bureau directed sellers and retailers to stop distributing the affected product and to work with local authorities to take appropriate action with immediate effect. According to the Bureau, the recalled product is the Nestle Non-Special Pro HA 0 to 12 infant formula, batch number 516607442F3, also known as Special Pro HA 0 to 12 infant formula, batch number 516607442F3. The Bureau said the action follows contamination of formula with cerulate, a toxin that poses a potential risk to infants. The toxin can cause foodborne illness, including vomiting and emesis, within up to 6 hours after feeding. The Bureau further stated that the product does not meet regional and international standards and is therefore not compliant with the requirements of the Bureau of Standards in the Republic of South Sudan. It added that the same product has already been recalled in several other countries. The Bureau also urged parents to seek medical advice from health professionals if they have fed the formula to an infant. The notice comes after some parents raised concerns over unusual symptoms, including severe skin rashes after feeding babies with Nestle S26 milk formula. The development comes amid a wave of international recalls affecting several Nestle products, including S26, NAN, and SMA, due to possible presence of toxin harmful to infants. The National Legislative Assembly has returned the mining bill to the Committees on Mining and on Legislation and Justice for further review after lawmakers described it as shallow and incomplete. The bill was tabled on Monday by lawmaker Oreste Lopara, a member of the Mining Committee, to amend the existing law in line with the revitalized peace agreement and the transitional constitution. It seeks to reform the national mining law by establishing a legal framework for mining licenses, royalties, corporate taxes, and annual rent, with the aim of attracting investment, improving governance in the sector, and ensuring that mineral resources benefit South Sudanese citizens. However, several legislatures rejected the bill, saying it lacked substance and was not subjected to public consultation despite dealing with the country's natural resources. Reacting to the draft bill, MP Gatquoth Ward says the report was weak and failed to address key issues in the mining sector.
I think the committee need.
Meanwhile, lawmaker Emmanuel Tungo accused the committee of failing to do its job properly. Another legislator, then Moya Abur Abraham, echoed the concerns, calling for a thorough review of every clause in the bill. Following a brief debate, the legislature unanimously resolved to send the bill back to the committees for further scrutiny. Seconding the motion, MP Dusman Joyce stressed the need for public hearings and involvement of the responsible minister. The mining bill will now undergo further review before it is retabled in the parliament. The chairperson of the South Sudanese community in Uganda has called on South Sudanese residents to remain calm, law-abiding and respectful of Uganda's laws as the country prepares for its national election scheduled for 15th January 2026. Johnson Kanjin Ngachor issued the appeal in a notice to South Sudanese communities across Uganda following a meeting convened by the ambassador of the Republic of South Sudan to Uganda on the 6th of January 2026. Community leaders were advised to sensitize members on appropriate conduct during the election period in line with the Ugandan laws.
During this time of election, South Sudanese now, distance themselves from involving in it. What you can do best, you just stay at home, let the legal people vote and then declare the result while we are at home, so that we cannot encounter any of this kind of whatever. So the message to South Sudanese is to stay at home for the safety until the election is done. So this is the main reason why we wrote that letter.
In addition, Ngachor disclosed that South Sudanese community leaders resolved to temporarily suspend all cultural dances and related activities to avoid large gatherings during the election period. He said the decision was reached during a meeting of the community leaders held on the 8th of January 2026.
Also, in the same note, we suspended they call it law, the traditional dance that's being up in Uganda here. Yeah, as you know, South Sudanese, the things that I emphasize, Mike, as a community leader, it's about staying connected, being united, because this is what we need more. We need to unite ourselves, get connected within this type of election. So we shall get connected so that anything that affects one should affect all of us, and we get solution, together, effectively.
Ngachor further urged South Sudanese in Uganda to remain peaceful and respectful of the country's democratic processes, emphasizing the importance of maintaining good relations with the host community throughout the election period. This is iRadio News. The governor of Central Equatoria State has met with national lawmakers from the state to discuss key challenges affecting development, including land grabbing and cattle migration. In a statement issued by his office on Monday, Governor Emmanuel Adil Antony said he held talks with a delegation of the Central Equatoria State SPLM Parliamentary Caucus led by lawmaker Dusman Joyce. According to the statement, the meeting focused on concerns such as land grabbing, cattle herders, illegal checkpoints, and the presence of armed opposition forces in some parts of the state. The governor said these issues continue to hinder development and stability in Central Equatoria. The statement added that Governor Adil welcomed engagement with the lawmakers and pledged to work closely with them to address the challenges. He also called for wider mobilization of the public ahead of elections, urging lawmakers to encourage armed groups to embrace peace and to actively engage with their constituents as the election period approaches. Before international news, the primate of the Episcopal Church of South Sudan, Justin Badiarama, has renewed his call for national reconciliation, urging South Sudanese to embrace peace, forgiveness, and unity as the foundation for development and national progress. Speaking during a Sunday prayers at St. Barnabas Cathedral in Iba County, Archbishop Arama said the country must move away from violence and commit itself to dialogue in order to build schools, hospitals, and other essential services.
We want to see South Sudan this year being a country where there is real and true reconciliation, peace and forgiveness. We want to see all the bloodshed, the violence in different parts of South Sudan coming to an end, and people work for peace. People embrace themselves as brothers and sisters.
The religious leader called on political leaders and young people across the country to renounce violence and resolve differences through peaceful means, stating that unity is key to the nation's future stability. Meanwhile, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mary Nawai, urged young people to become ambassadors of peace within their communities, stressing that sustainable development can only be achieved in a peaceful environment.
We are here to pass a message to South Sudanese. Let us denounce violence. Let us say enough is enough for war. Peace, let's give peace a chance. We have seen the advantage of peace. We have seen the disadvantage of war. Let us stop war. Let us take the spirit of peace, because we need development.
The Sunday prayers brought together church leaders, government representatives, youth, and members of the local community, all united in a collective call for peace, reconciliation, and national unity. This is iRadio News, and now to the international scene. Here is Helen Samuel.
Thank you. Here are some of the stories making headlines in the region and across the globe. Uganda is heading into a high-stakes presidential election dominated by young voters, with most of the population under the age of 17. The vote this Thursday is a rematch between long-serving President Yoweri Museveni, 81, who is seeking a 7th term after 4 decades in power, and opposition leader Bobi Wine, a 43-year-old former pop star. Campaign rallies across the country have been marked by energetic youth participation, reflecting deep divisions between calls for continuity and demands for change. Observers widely expect Museveni to win, though the election has renewed debate about Uganda's political future and the role of its young generation. Elsewhere, as Iran's deadly crackdown on anti-government protests continue, the U.S. president is considering how best to respond. For President Donald Trump, it's decision time. 10 days ago, he said the U.S. was prepared to go to the rescue of Iranian protesters if their government used violence against them. The U.S. was, the president said, locked and loaded and ready to go. Finally, the BBC will file a motion to dismiss Donald Trump's lawsuit over how his 6th January 2021 speech was edited in the Panorama documentary. The U.S. president filed a $51 billion in a Florida court last month, accusing the BBC of defamation and of violating a trade practices law. Court papers filed on Monday showed the broadcaster will argue the Florida court personal jurisdiction over the BBC, the court venue is improper, and that Trump has failed to state a claim. The BBC previously apologized to Trump over the edit, but rejected his demands for compensation and disagreed there was a basis for a defamation claim. For now, those are some of the stories making headlines in the international arena.
Thanks, Helen Samuel. This is iRadio News, and now to the world of sports. Here is Darlington Moses.
Let's turn to sport table. The African Confederations of Football has opened an investigation into incidents that occurred during the quarter-final matches between Morocco and Cameroon and Algeria and Nigeria at the Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. CAF says it has reviewed match reports and video footage suggesting possible misconduct by some players, officials and media representatives, and has referred the cases to its disciplinary committee for action. Meanwhile, the Gabonese Football Federation has announced the lifting of the government suspensions on the national team and the resumption of sporting activities. The government had earlier dissolved the technical staff and suspended the senior team indefinitely following the early elimination. And in Premier League update, video assistant referee errors have risen in the first half of this Premier League season. Data collected by BBC Sport taken from the Premier League's key match incident, which is KMI panel, shows mistakes have increased by 30% season on season from 10 to 13. It is still a marked improvement on previous years, with 20 errors at this stage of the 2023-2024 campaign and 23 in 2022 to 2023. Tottenham expect to complete a £35 million deal for Atletico Madrid midfielder Conor Gallagher after moving ahead of Aston Villa in the race for the England international signature. Villa appear to be in pole positions to land Gallagher, but Spurs are now choosing on closing the deal on the 25-year-old after expressing a willingness to meet Atletico's evaluation. Villa wanted to sign the former Chelsea man on an initial loan deal with an option to make the move permanent. And finally, Michael Carrick has agreed to become Manchester United interim head coach, and former England assistant manager Steve Holland is said to be his number 2. Jonathan Woodgate, Johnny Evans and Travis Bennion will also be part of Carrick's staff. Former United and England midfielder Carrick agreed a deal on Monday night, with an announcement due on Tuesday once the necessary paperwork has been signed. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Lasuba Memo, in the studio.
Thanks, Darlington Moses. This is iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. The South Sudan National Bureau of Standards has ordered the immediate halt of distribution of a batch of Nestle baby formula following a global recall over safety concerns. The National Legislative Assembly has returned the mining bill to the Committees on Mining and on Legislation and Justice for further review after lawmakers described it as shallow and incomplete. And the chairperson of the South Sudanese community in Uganda has called on South Sudanese residents there to remain calm, law-abiding and respectful of Uganda's laws as the country prepares for its national election scheduled for 15th January 2026. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287 It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Lasuba Memo. Thank you for listening.